Hello. 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 My chair's not comfortable. My poor camera. Okay. Hour long. Hello. My name is Sarah, and I am the host of this podcast called The Knitting Type. I can be found on Ravelry, Instagram, Blogger, and Etsy as The Knitting Type. Thank you for joining me today. Today is Sunday, June 5th, and I am recording from Fort Collins, Colorado. I have my show notes pinned up over here, so you're going to see me glancing over at them every now and then just so that I can remember what I was supposed to talk about today. I'll just get some housekeeping stuff out there first, or administrative stuff. I don't really have a title for it, but the first thing I wanted to do was say thank you. There was another podcaster who mentioned me in their podcast last week, and that was Joanne from Creative Mojo. So thank you, Joanne. She was very, very sweet and I think she said my podcast was engaging, which was very nice. And I did watch her podcast, and Joanne, your podcast is lovely also. She's a sewist and a knitter and a spinner, and I believe she's in Alberta, Canada. So her name's Joanne, and her podcast title is Creative Mojo. So if you get a chance, go check her out. And then I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who has watched my podcast over the last couple weeks. I record every 2 weeks-ish. So my last podcast was titled Confessions of a Knitter, wherein I talked about my pronunciation of certain knitting words and how I tend to mispronounce them. So all the comments I received were so sweet and so encouraging, and it was just really thoughtful. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone, and then also thank you to all new and return viewers. So if this is your first time watching the podcast, thank you for tuning in, and I hope you stick around to see what I have to show. And if you are a returning podcast viewer, thank you for coming back. So the other housekeeping thing is the bag swap. So Shannon from Sockcetra and I have been hosting a bag swap during the month of May, and we hosted signups rather. And so signups completed on May 31st, and I am spending part of today assigning swap partners. So I've already put up a little blurb in my Ravelry group, the Knitting Type. I've put up a thread, and it says, I think it's called Project Bag Swap Partners, and that's where I'm going to be posting the partners later today. I'm going to do my best to magic link or ear burn every participant, but we did have over 106 participants, so it might take me a little while to get everybody ear burned and magic linked. So I'll definitely post all of the swap people today. I have them all, but then I have to go through and code it. I think it's just putting parentheses around it or something so that you are ear burned if you are participating in the bag swap. And if you don't know what the bag swap is, if you missed out on that, it was a bag swap that Shannon and I hosted, wherein if you were interested in sewing a project bag and swapping a project bag, we would get you in contact with somebody else who is. And it was just kind of the idea that, well, I guess a lot of people, a lot of knitters and project-oriented people, or as my t-shirt says, makers, a lot of makers are interested in more than one craft. And so if you're a knitter, maybe you tinker in crocheting, and if you knit or crochet, maybe you also tinker in sewing, or vice versa. And many people might not tinker in sewing but want to and have that desire. And so a project bag is a really easy way to kind of get your toes wet. And so, and a lot of people are also interested in sewing project bags, and they might be interested in selling them, but are a little bit intimidated to do so. So this is just kind of a way, like I said, to get your feet wet and get out there and get your project bags sewn and give them to somebody else and maybe get feedback. So those partners will be going up today. Winded. I'm already winded. It's been like the first 5 minutes. Squirrel mug. I'm drinking the Trader Joe's candy cane tea because it's my favorite. And I just quit caffeine this week. That was rough. Monday, I think it was Tuesday and Wednesday, I had a headache like all day. And, but I kicked it. So no more caffeine for me if we're ever in a swap. I don't drink caffeinated tea. I don't even want to be tempted by it because I think caffeine is to me what cigarettes and other such drugs are to other people. If I have even just a little bit, I think I can handle it. And then I just spiral out of control. And the next thing I know, I'm drinking like 2 Starbucks caffeinated beverages a day and not getting good sleep. So I kicked it. I kicked it again. I've kicked it several times, and I'm hoping this time it really sticks. Completely not knitting related, just thought I'd share. So let's see. My next thing to talk about is whips. So in talking about whips, I will let you know that the past week, not only did I quit caffeine, but I also got tendinitis in my right hand, so this hand, and I don't have my brace on right now. I haven't truly felt like I needed it, and I think my wrist needs some mobility. So I had tendinitis all down here, and it just really kind of hurt a lot. So I haven't gotten any progress done in the last week, but I did get progress done the week before as far as whips go, so I'll show you that. And here is my first little project bag, and this project bag is by Dana Herbert. Project bags made in Oregon, and this is housing my blueberry waffle socks. So this is my second blueberry waffle sock, and you can see the sad amount of progress that I made between this progress keeper right here, and I think, what is that, like six rounds? This I worked on last Monday, which was Memorial Day here in the States, and it was also, or no, I worked on it last Sunday, which was the day before Memorial Day, which for us is a holiday weekend. So it was also my 5-year anniversary, and my husband and I were taking a 2.5-hour car drive down to southern Colorado to see this beautiful place called Garden of the Gods, which are rock formations, and they're really quite beautiful. And we kind of hiked around there. And so I was like, great, you can drive and I'll knit the whole time. No, I knit for however many rows this is before my wrist kind of started hurting a little bit. And I was like, maybe I should put this down. I've had tendinitis before, so I can hear it whispering in my wrists when it's coming on. And I thought, if I stop now, the recovery won't be so bad, which I was wrong because the recovery took, well, it's taken today. And I can tell you, just holding this sock right now, my fingers are itching and tingling to knit on it. And this is my first day trying not to wear my brace at all. And I think if I do try to knit on it, I'm just going to set myself back. But I really want to. Anyway, blueberry waffle sock, second sock, knit out of Molly Clatt from a Homespun Houses Half-Blood Prince colorway in her Dale fingering base. I love this yarn. I love the color. I can't wait to get it done. I'd hoped to have this and my other sock done before June ended. Obviously, that didn't happen. So, but, you know, we just have to accept when these things happen that there's something out there in the greater universe that is telling us to slow down. And so I have been struggling with slowing down this week. I'm a very productive person. I feel I gain a sense of accomplishment out of being productive. And so knitting really helps me feel productive and feel like I'm relaxing at the same time, which I really need. So not being able to knit all week was really hard. I actually came home every day after work and I would just sit in front of the TV, and my husband would, say something like, "Well, what are you going to do the rest of the night, babe?" And I would go, "I don't know. There's nothing to do. I can't knit. I can't use my hand." So that was kind of me just feeling sorry for myself. And oh, I got so many lovely, I posted a picture of my wrist in the brace on Instagram. And if any of my Instagram followers are also viewers, thank you so much for all your lovely comments. I actually found that typing on my phone like this was hurting my wrist, so I didn't respond to any of the comments, but they were also sweet and thoughtful, and um, the suggestions were great. Someone said read, and someone said clean, and I thought, oh yeah, I could clean. So my house got a really good cleaning yesterday for hours. Um, and I did some sewing. I was actually able to sew, which was really great because that kind of gives me the same relief as knitting does. So my second whip, which is my only other whip aside from sewing, which I will show, is the Hermione's Everyday Sock. And this is my second sock. And I'm past the heel now, and I'm on the foot. And you can see from this progress keeper how much I've gotten done in the last 2 weeks. And this is knit on a homespun house yarn. Again, it is her BFL base. Trying to remember. I don't know if I have the tag. I think it's her Olsen base is her BFL, Olsen. And and this is her Lady of the Black Lake colorway, I believe. And then the heel toe cuff is knit out of the Loopy Use solid series, which is they have a bunch of merino yarn that's just in solids, and I thought it was really cute with this yarn. So that's the sad little amount of progress that I made knitting wise in the last, call it 2, maybe 3 weeks. I don't actually remember when I last recorded. I know I did a mini video last week to talk about the project bag swap, but I didn't show progress on anything. I did show progress on what I was actually sewing. So I figured since I didn't have a lot of knitting to talk about, I would talk about sewing some, but I'm gonna stay focused, right? Here I go, rambling, talking all over the place. And instead of showing you my sewing right now, I'm gonna show 2 FOs that I brought, and they're sitting right behind me, and they are crochet based. And so these are 2 blankets that I made, and they are both crochet. They're both made out of, oh, what's her name? Vanna White. It's Vanna White acrylic yarn, which is perfect for crocheted blankets. And I believe it's their worsted weight. And I crocheted these, let's see, I think one I finished 2 years ago, and the other one I finished about 4 or 5 years ago. And they're nice little blankets. I'll kind of show you this one. So it's quite large. Actually, I'm going to take up the whole screen. So I love to bring these out for the summertime because, as my husband would say, all your blankets have holes in them. One year he got me a fleece blanket for Christmas, and it was a basic brown fleece blanket, and he was so excited when I opened it, and he's like, well, you get cold, so here's a blanket. And I said, but I make blankets. And he said, but all your blankets have holes in them. Never say that to a crocheter. They're supposed to have holes. So this one is perfect for the summertime because of these little chain linked sections. It breathes really nice. I love to sit out on my back porch. I have a screened-in back porch, and I love to sit out there in an early summer morning and drape this over my lap and drink tea, decaffeinated tea, and read. It's just really kind of nice. So this was one, and I'll put these patterns up in my show notes as well as link to, well, they're in my Ravelry project page if you're interested in seeing them. And they're both Lion brand projects. So they're crocheted out of Vanna White yarn, but they're both Lion brand blanket patterns, that's the word, patterns, available on the Lion yarn website. So if you like the pattern, you can go and find it there. So this is the second one. Again, Holy. And not that big, so it's folded in half, but it's the perfect size lap blanket, and it's actually pretty much the whole length of, like, from my shoulders down to my feet. So it has holes, and it's the perfect breathing room, like, you know, airy blanket for summer. Also a really good blanket for picnics. When I lived back in Maryland, I used to go to a lot of Maryland on the East Coast. There were always wine festivals every year. And so during the summertime, I'd get together with a bunch of friends and we'd go to these wine festivals. And I was the one who always brought the blankets. I always had like 3 or 4 crocheted blankets, and we'd throw those out on the lawn. And they were just always, they're perfect because you can just throw them in the wash when you get home if you use acrylic yarn. So those are my 2 FOs from way back when. And now I will continue with my works in progress and talk. Oh no, wait, I have another FO. Okay. But we are switching gears to sewing. So because this week I mostly focused on sewing, I became obsessed with flipping through sewing pattern books, which I have more than my fair share. And I was conceiving of all of these things I could do. And part of this is just because sewing is kind of my summer fallback craft. This year I've made my goal or my theme the year of yarn. So I will continue to work with yarn through the summer, but typically in the summer I taper off and I put the wool down, and I will just focus on things like sewing and beading. So this week, since I had the tendonitis and I almost said so I couldn't yarn as much, so I couldn't knit as much, I decided that I would refocus on my sewing. And just to kind of give you an idea of some things I've done before, I have a couple quilt tops, which I've talked about before. And I actually had this great idea, but I didn't get it done in time, was to take one of the quilt tops and put it on this wall behind me. Yeah, right here. And kind of do those 3M hooks with then little like binder clips hanging the quilt top behind me, because the quilt top's completely done, but I've never actually completed, well, that's not true. Okay, so I've made, ooh, I have another quilt top. I'm gonna go get it, hold on. Maker. Okay, I'm back. So I've made 2 baby quilts, and I have made a mug rug, and I have made 2 quilt tops. And one quilt top was queen size, and then another quilt top that I completed is like twin size. And the way that I learned to quilt was by watching online. I took a Craftsy class about simple quilting. I took Missouri Quilt Company has some really great tutorials on how to make quilts, and I think I bought, the woman who owns Missouri Quilt Company has 2 Craftsy classes, and I bought both of her classes, and I can't remember what they're called, but if I if I could be so thoughtful and remember to, I will link to them in the show notes. And then I got obsessed with Bonnie and Camille, who are fabric designers for Moda, Moda fabric company. And I love all of their fabric lines. And the daughter, Camille Ross Kelly, or Rose Kelly, has two books. And so I bought both of her pattern books, and then she has two Craftsy classes. And I think it's Simple Piecing Made Easy or something like that. Camille Camille's whole uh, kind of quilting angle, her approach is that it doesn't have to be as hard as it looks. So she really provides you with templates and instructions that simplify quilting for you. And I believe she has a blog called Simplify, um, and it's all about quilting. So this first quilt that I completed was a baby quilt, and I was very kind to myself and said, if there are errors, there are errors, and that's okay. And this is just about learning. And I didn't actually quilt the top, but it's like a tied quilt. So it's folded in half and it's just a little baby. It's like a baby quilt. And that's it. So, and this is also a really good lap blanket for out on the porch during the summertime. So I did all the steps. I put the backing on the batting and the quilt top, and then I tied everything together with some of this kind of thick thread. And then I did the bias, I forget what this is called, the binding. And then I hand stitched, and you can even see my really cruddy attempt at hand stitching. Those are supposed to be invisible stitches, and they're not. So, but it's a work in progress, and this is how we learn, right? So, another blanket. And then I took a class on making mug rugs, which is basically like a little quilt. And I did that because one of my hesitations to finish my quilts is the top stitching. I find top stitching so terrifying for some reason. I just feel like it's not easy to rip out, and if you did rip it out, it could look ugly, and I don't know. To be perfectly honest, who's looking that closely at a quilt unless you're entering at a 4-H club craft extravaganza club thing? So anyway, I made this mug rug, and I think it's super cute. I, put all these little pieces together and designed the layout. And then I put the little rainy day umbrellas on the back. And this almost looks as big as a placemat, except for when you hold it up next to a mug, you can see that why it's called a mug rug. Mug rugs are really meant to like hold a cup of tea or coffee in like a little plate with a snack on them. And so you can kind of see on this one that my binding stitches were a little bit more invisible, which was my goal. And I just stuck with a really basic quilting technique. I just quilted down every single line horizontally and vertically, and then I did some diagonals so that there was a cross pattern happening. But it's not perfect by any means. You can totally see where my stitches don't follow the lines, or that, my corners don't all match up. But whatever, I keep this on my coffee table and I put my remotes on it. So I don't think the remotes are judging me. So those are 2 more FOs. Yay! And if you want to see how I made this mug rug, if any of you are interested in sewing, if you're here just for the knitting, I apologize. That was all the knitting I had to talk about. I do have some knit happenings and stuff coming up later, but I didn't really go through what I was going to talk about today. I'm all over the place. Okay, so how I made that mug rug is that they sell fabric in these teeny tiny, what they call charm packs. And this is what I bought. It's very tiny. and it has basically 42 squares. It's usually an entire fabric line, so they all match. This, I believe, was called Rainy Days by Bonnie and Camille. And this is called Little Ruby by Bonnie and Camille. Focus. There we go. And by Moda Fabric, who is the manufacturer. And Bonnie and Camille designed the patterns. So this, I can make another mug rug out of this and everything will match. You of course have to buy your binding and your backing separately. So let's see, there's that. Oh, and then I guess the other FOs I can show you are what is behind me. I'm sorry, I'm thinking if that's what I want to do. You know what? I'm going to skip all over the place. I'm actually going to wait on that. I mean, you can see the bags back there, but if you did come here for knitting content, I just realized I do have some yarn sitting behind me that is very exciting. So nothing has been more heartbreaking than the fact that I have had tendinitis all week, and yet yarn purchases have been coming in and I haven't been able to work on them. So I haven't touched any of this yarn that I've gotten for the last 2.5 weeks, because one, I was trying to focus on the socks to get them done, and then the other thing was then I got the tendinitis and I was like, great, now I can't do anything with any of the yarn. So right behind me is all of this yarn. Whoop, 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 right there. I'm gonna grab it. Oh, it's so much yarn. Okay, so we'll start with this group first. And this is O Loops Yarn by Sarah Stevens and Lydia B. Those are their names on Instagram. And they do like dyed to order, I think that's what you would call it. They released like they released a spring line basically, and they released it back, I think, in March. And I bought some, and then it showed up like May 18th, which was really exciting. And I think I'm going to make, Lydia B has a shawl pattern called Looking at Her. And I thought I was going to use this yarn to make that, but now I just might use one of these skeins and match it with something else because I'm not sure they all go together. So I got their Ascot base in 4 different colors, and it's 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and 400 yards. And this is their Pixie Meadow Bright color. And then I thought for the Looking at Her shawl, which is 2 colorways together kind of alternating, I thought I would use this color. But then I wonder, is that too much pink? So this one is called Cottage Garden, and it's on the same base. And then I thought, ooh, maybe I'll do this color combination. And this is called Bees and Honey. Is that focusing? Well, you get the color idea. And then I thought maybe I'd put it together with this sweet cream gelato with fruity sprinkles. And you can see how it has this gelato and fruity sprinkles kind of look to it. And I thought, well, maybe that could be cute with this, right? Very summery, kind of very gelato, snow cones, running out to the ice cream truck, you know, during the summertime from the pool kind of feel to it. But then I'm like, well, it's a cute concept, but will I wear that? I don't know. So it doesn't matter because I haven't been able to touch it or work on it, and I've just decided I wasn't going to think about it. And then I got 2 colorways by Homespun House. So Molly of a Homespun House hosts a Harry Potter Yarn of the Month club, and she started the first session of the club January through March, and I would see everybody talking about the skeins that they got, and I really wanted them. And so what Molly does is she waits until the colorway has been out for 3 months before she releases it to the public. So if you were a club member, you received this colorway in January, and then I was able to purchase it in April. And so this just came in May, and this is her Xenophilius Explains the Deathly Hollows. And it's on her Sparkle Fingering base, which is 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and 5% stellina. And it came with this great progress keeper, which is the symbol of the Deathly Hollows. And it's just, again, a beautiful colorway. I've talked before about Molly's skill set when it comes to blending colors, and I'm just in awe. So I think these will probably be socks, but then again, a shawl would be so pretty because it's got some sparkle to it, and I know I would wear these colors close to my face. So that came in the mail and I couldn't play with it. And then I was lucky enough to join her second round of the Harry Potter Yarn of the Month Club. And that started it's April, May, June. And so April's colorway came at the end of May. A homespun house is located, well, Molly lives in Berlin, Germany, and I live in the USA. So that's why I received her April Yarn of the Month Club in May. So this one, and if you haven't received yours, I'm sure you already have, because if I've received it, I'm thinking almost everybody has. This is your warning to look away if you haven't received yours, because I'm going to spoil it and show it to you. This is it. Oh, so pretty. And so this one is on her soft fingering base, and the colorway is Leaning Forward on His Trolley, He Broke into a Heavy Run. And that refers to when Harry Potter first runs onto the platform of 9 3/4, which I just watched last night. And interesting, I watched it because I wanted to see where Molly conceived of this colorway. I thought maybe when Harry Potter ran through the brick wall that he would see some sort of opalescent kind of, you know, like dream sequence image, but there was nothing there. And so I think that maybe when Molly was reading the book herself, she envisioned these colors. Maybe. Lots of aquas, lavenders, kind of like mint blues, and then little flecks of darker blues. And then it came with a progress keeper that's heavier than your typical progress keeper. So I think this would make a really good zipper pull on it, like a sweater bag. And it's the symbol for the platform 9 3/4. So yay! And then I got another Harry Potter Yarn of the Month Club. I order mini skeins mini skeins from Mint Rain on Etsy, and she has a minis Harry Potter Yarn of the Month Club. And so this one, okay, yeah, the samples that she sends are on her twist sock base, which is 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon. And there is a sparkle sock base in here, and that's 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and 5% stellina. And each one of these mini skeins is 10 grams and 40 yards. And so these are the colorways. And going from here, we have the Night Bus, and then Hagrid's Tie, and then Bogart Snape, and then this is the Time Turner, and then this is Lupin. And she always sends this cute little, over here, this little lightning bolt progress keeper, which is super cool. And then the last two skeins that I got, and I swear I don't have any other yarn coming really that I know of, so I don't usually shop like this. Lies, I do. But I try not to, which is why I think that I don't typically shop like this. So Okay, confession. I'd gone out to dinner and I'd had a drink or two. And then on the car ride home, I was going through Instagram and I saw that this yarn dyer had a Etsy website and she just posted it and she was like, limited supply, whatever. And I was like, oh, this sounds like a great idea. I'm going to buy this on my phone. And it took 5 minutes for me to do this damage. Just 5 after 2 glasses of wine. And I was like, this is a brilliant idea. So I got Freckled Whimsies hand-dyed yarn, and this one is called Hope Floats, and it is in her Serendipity base, which is 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon, and you get 460 yards of this. And I loved the movie Hope Floats, which is why I think when I was in the car, not driving, by the way, I was a passenger, on my phone and buying this yarn, I was like, I love that movie. And I put that in my cart and bought it. And then this is her other one, which is so extremely not typically my color, but woo-hoo-hoo. This one is called Que Sera Sera, which I remember I bought because I was like, Que Sera, that's like my name, Sarah. And it's also on her Serendipity base, so I just read all of that information. So I kind of love the electric colors. This will definitely be socks because this is not something I would wear this close to my face. I wear more neutrals most of the time. So those are all of my acquisitions for this month or this past month, because so far in June I have not bought any yarn. I've been very, very good. So when my tendonitis does finally heal, fingers crossed that it's like by tomorrow, I'm going to finish the 2 socks that I currently have on the needles, although I'm not in a rush to finish them because while I will put them in my box of socks for Kristen of Woolen Vine's box of socks Cal. So Kristen has a yarn line called Woolen Vine, but her podcast is called Yarngasm. So she's running a cal called the Box of Socks, and it's a year-long cal, and basically you have to fill a box with socks. So I'm in no rush to finish the Blueberry and the Hermione's every day, other than I don't want to get second sock syndrome with them, so I want to finish them. But I did knit up right before my tendonitis flared up 2 swatches for socks that I really want to knit, and one of them is to go in a knit along that ends in June, which means I'd have to whip these suckers off in the next 3 weeks. 3.5, maybe 4. I don't know how many weeks are left in June. So this first swatch that I did was the Cookie A pattern, and this is Hedgehog Fibers Teacup. And then I plan to do heel toe cuff in this beautiful pink color. It's like pink petals. I think it's, again, the Loopy Use Solid series, and I thought that made a really cute heel toe cuff. So I've already swatched it and blocked it to get my gauge so that I can put it on my foot and it'll fit. And so I hope to cast those on starting on Monday and then have them completed by the end of the month for the Cookie Jar Cal hosted by Lara of the Fawn Knits and Candace from the Pin Feathers and Pearls podcast. They're hosting the Cookie Jar Cal where you have to knit a Cookie A pattern, any pattern. And then the second one that I started knitting up was, this is a swatch, it's like totally blown out. Let's see if I block this, you can kind of see. So this is the Geek Socks, which if you watch Danny from, it's a lot to remember, people, all the podcast names and podcasters' names. Little Bobbins. Little Bobbins is her podcast, and she knit the Geek Socks, which is a free free pattern found on knitty.com. So if you just go there and search Geek Socks, this part is the basic part of the pattern right here, where there's kind of this little let's see, how is it? It's you you slip the stitches, and so that's how they kind of start piling up on top of one another in different color rows. And so this is another swatch that I knit, and I had to get through all of the pink in order to get to the next color. You're supposed to make the pattern on the color repeats. So that's why that one's so big. So those are all of my TheKnittingType things for this week. So I apologize for having the sewing kind of in there in the middle, but I'm going to get back to sewing now and talk about project bags. So if you're not interested in anything sewing, feel free to turn this off now. I'm going to just kind of talk about project bags that I make, and project bags that I'm actually going to put on Etsy for the first time. Um, okay, so while hosting this project bag swap with Shannon of Socksetra, she encouraged me to learn how to do a drawstring bag. And I thought, that's so scary because I've never done it before. And I got a great pattern. Let's see, do I have the pattern up here? I might have it up here. I don't have it up here. Nope, I don't have it. So it's a free drawstring bag pattern, and so she encouraged me to do that, and she basically said, I'll swap with you, and you have to send me a drawstring bag because you've never done them before, and I'll send you a zippered bag because I've never done a zipper before. And I thought, well, challenge accepted. And I busted out like 3 or 4 of these 2 weeks ago, and I love them. So this is the first one that I did, and this fabric is adorable. It's a whole line of fabric, again by Bonnie and Camille, called Vintage Picnic, and which is totally up my alley. I love this style. And I made my own pull ties, which are just made of twill fabric, and then I sewed them together, and then the bag opens up. I've opened it so many times and closed it that my strings are a little wonky. And this one, oh, I do have the pattern. It was in the bag. No, I'm just kidding. This is the monkey socks pattern on Knitty. Oh, shoot. Okay, so when I open the bag, the inside just has basic white cotton, and you can see in here that it holds 2 skeins of yarn. And there's my hedgehog, and my other one where I couldn't remember the color. The Solid Series colorway is Perfect Pink. How cute. So it holds the pattern, it will hold a project, will probably hold more than 1 skein of yarn, that's for sure. You could probably fit 4 in there plus whatever you're working on, or it would fit a shawl for sure. And then you just, whoops, cinch it closed. Really cute. And then that was the first one I made, and then I loved it so much that I made this one, which is that same line of fabric called Vintage Picnic. And it's the same deal. It's just got pull ties. And then this one you can see has my lollipop yarns for my geek socks. Pull close. So I have sewn a bunch of these since, and I'm actually going to be putting them on Etsy. And so I'll just show them right here to give you an idea of what the combinations will be. And my goal is to have these up on Tuesday, and I'm saying Tuesday so that I commit myself to taking the photos and writing the descriptions, because aside from, you know, just the fear of putting yourself out there on Etsy, is the amount of work it takes to photograph the projects, load them onto Etsy, and then write the descriptions for everything. So my goal is to have this done by Tuesday and have them up. And I will post something on Instagram when I have a shop update. And so this is the first bag with little birdies and red polka dots. And then we have the second one with pears and cherries and a vintage picnic table red and white fabric up top. And these all just have a basic white lining. And then we have this very sweet, like a sweetheart picnic with the light blue fabric and the pink and white picnic table fabric. And then we have, these are cherries, see the little cherries, and the white and red polka dots. And then we have blue and green and white cherries with green, like lime green polka dots. And that's the whole, this is the whole bag. And then we have the red kind of floral and a like teal blue polka dots. And these are all from the same line of fabric, so all of the colors in like this green matches this green exactly. It is the exact same colorway. And so then we have these sweet little flowers, and this is a lime green. It doesn't look that lime green on the camera for some reason. I don't know why it's not coming out, but it's lime green. So if you like lime green, if you're a lime green person, you would, I just whacked myself, you would really like this, this project bag. And then we have another sweetheart one with little pink flowers, and these are gray polka dots. So white trim with gray polka dots. It was a lot. So those are all the drawstring bags that I have. I believe there's exactly 7 of them, so not that many. And I have to say that my sewing skills have seriously improved because there are like no imperfections. And those pull ties, I went and looked for pull ties that would be as quality over time at my local fabric store and said, you know, do you have bias tape? Do you have anything that I could use as ties? So they have these like big bolts with ties that people would use as cording on pillows or ties to hold curtains back, but I wasn't satisfied with anything I bought, and I just really liked the twill tie the best. So anyway, I handmade all of the ties, and they will be up on Etsy on Tuesday. Also, I'm going to start putting up my other project bag. So I showed this one last week with its cute little handle, and this is with a box bottom and a zipper. So this will be up on Etsy as well. And this is about a medium size, I would say, like definitely a shawl or a scarf, maybe a teeny tiny sweater. And then this is the same one, and I showed this one last week as well. Same style. And then this one is gray with purple and yellow and white. And it has a D-ring at the end of the keychain here, and it just has a gray zipper, and I believe it just has muslin as the lining. So this one is a little bit bigger than, well, it's like wider, I think. Yeah, it's wider than the other one. So not quite a large, but just kind of a larger medium. And then this one, which does have a little zip, a zipper pull, and it has a progress keeper that is a little bronze heart that says handmade or made with love. So I don't know. Here you go. Made with love. It's out of focus. But so you'd get a progress keeper and pull this little beaded zipper pull will be on there as well. And this one is just all this beige flower fabric with the lining that also matches the handle, and this handle does not have a D-ring. I was kind of just playing with what kind of handles I would like, and so some of them have D-rings and some of them don't. This is a small project bag, so this would be perfect for a pair of socks, but a pair of socks that really only involves one skein of yarn, and again, it's a box bottom and a thinner handle this time, and the handle's a little bit smaller, so more for like a small hand. It has this adorable green zipper, and on this one, I experimented using zipper bind-offs, so it doesn't truly roll down as far as like project bags that roll. This one can, but because of this zipper bumping, it doesn't roll as cleanly. It kind of cinches in the fabric a little bit. So anyway, inside of these Paris bags is this kind of calico green and black fabric. And then I'm also going to have some notions pouches. So I just grabbed one, but I have one in every one of the zipper bags fabrics. So this is the size of the notions pouch. It has a little D-ring. For whatever reason, I thought put that on there. And then I thought, well, people can put progress keepers on them. And these have little zipper pools. So they're just little beaded zipper pools. And then the inside is that same green kind of calico fabric. So that's everything. That's my spiel. So I've said that a lot today, haven't I? So. It's because I've got sewing on the brain. So everything is sewing. So that's everything that I've made and everything that I haven't made in the last week and a half, 2 weeks. My last 2 sections are knit happenings. So that's kind of what I'm attending. And I haven't attended anything since my last podcast. The month of April was crazy and I just attended. But, excuse me, I haven't attended anything in the last couple weeks, which is really good because I'm an introvert and I need downtime. So I have definitely had it. And, but I am hoping to attend next weekend is the Estes Fiber Festival. And so my plan is to attend that with my husband. It's about an hour drive up a mountain into the beautiful Estes Park area and just kind of see what it's all about. So hopefully I go and I don't buy anything because I don't need any more stuff. And then I don't have any other plans. I think there's going to be another Knit Nosh hosted by Becky of the Knit Actually podcast, but I haven't heard about it yet. But if that is happening in August, I am signing up and going. Then the last thing is Pod Love. So I had one podcast that I started watching that was new to me this week, and that is the Naughty Knitwits. And this is a duo podcast. So 2 women who appear to be friends. I don't think that they're sisters, and they're based out of Portland. They're very funny. They have a dirty sense of humor that I completely appreciate. And they have really lovely knitting to demonstrate and show off. And so if you're looking for a good laugh, that duo will definitely do it for you. And they are the Naughty Knitwits on YouTube. So that's the end. That's all I've got for you today. I hope that you've enjoyed what you've watched, and I hope that you will join me back here in 2 more weeks. And once again, if you signed up for the Project Bag Swap, I am going to post the partners today and try to ear burn everyone by today or tomorrow. And I can be found on Blogger, Ravelry, Etsy, and Instagram and YouTube as The Knitting Type. And if you'd like to join our group, if you like what you've seen today and you want to know where my show notes are, or you want to participate in any discussions of things that I've talked about, then you can do so by joining our podcast group on Ravelry, which is called The Knitting Type Podcast. And then lastly, if you've liked what you've seen today and you'd like to see more, please hit the subscribe button and like this video if you liked it and dislike it if you didn't like it, and then feel free to tell me why, because I want to make sure that the information that I'm putting out here is available and interesting and yeah, that you like it. So just feel free to leave a comment and let me know. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week. And thank you for spending some time knitting with me. Bye. That you sign up. I hope it sounds like something that's interesting. I haven't heard of anybody else doing it yet, so I think it sounds interesting. Llamas.